Yo, it's Eli here, back with another video. A couple of y'all been asking me to make a video on how to mix a beat on GarageBand. And to be honest, I really didn't know what to do because I usually just adjust the volume of each sound to whatever sounds good to me. But today, I'm gonna be making a mixing tutorial. And I'm just gonna be showing y'all what I usually do to my beats. But we ain't doing too much yapping. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe. We on the road to 15K. And that's enough yapping. Let's get into the vid. So first off, I set the tempo to 145 and the key to G sharp minor. And as you can see, this beat is completely unmixed. All the volumes are just at the default setting. And here's how it sounds. Not too good, right? The first thing I would usually do is EQ out the bass of the melodies. This helps give more room for the 808s or an actual bass, and it just makes the beat sound cleaner and more professional. You could also EQ out some more frequencies in the mid and the high end. I usually don't do it on GarageBand, but it'll help if you have sounds that's clashing with each other. And for the bass, you want to do the opposite. You want to boost it just a slight bit. If you boost it too much, it's going to overpower the beat. Now it should be sounding a little bit better. Better, but still trash. The next thing I usually do is adjust the volume of each sound to whatever sounds good to me. And look at the green bars. You see how it's super low? So even if I add the volume all the way up, it's still not going to be too loud. So I think I'm going to leave this one at the default. The ARP, I want it to be in a little bit in the background. Same thing with the lead. Since these are counter melodies, you want them to be quieter than the main melody. And for the bass, I think I'll bring it down just a little bit. And this is how it sounds with the volumes adjusted. Now, you could be done with the melody right there, but if you really want to sauce it up, the next thing I do is throw on some effects. If you didn't know, I made 2 videos on the best plugins, the best free plugins to use on GarageBand. So go check those out if you haven't. I'm pretty sure this effect added some vibrato, some panning, and some reverb. Reverb usually helps things sound more spacious, and the panning helps things go from ear to ear, so it just widens out the melody. Now with this lead, this is kind of a harsh sound, so I added a lot of effects to this jump. Help soften it up. And by the way, this plugin is perfect to add more space to the beat. It makes things sound more stereo, so it literally adds space to the beat. I added one more effect, the tremolo, just so the lead could pan from ear to ear. Now for the bass, I usually don't add any effects, but for this beat, I'm gonna use wider because I wanna give it that space that I was talking about. Now that we're done with the melody, we could get on to mixing the drums. But here's how it sounds first. Now for the snare or the clap, since it's the main part of the drums, I usually leave it at the max volume. But when you add sounds to the sampler, usually there's a little bit of reverb on it. I just took off the reverb on all these sounds. One thing you can do though is play around with the velocity. You can have one snare louder and the other one quieter. Since this one is a counter snare, I want to have it quieter than the main snare. Now for the hi-hats, look at the green lines. You see how one of them is longer than the other one? That means that it's playing louder in one ear than the other one. So to fix this, you just mess with the track pan. I'm gonna move it until it evens out. For my hi-hats and my open hats, I usually do add a little bit of reverb to it. And ironically, even though I just evened out the hi-hats, I still use this plugin to add panning to them. For the volume, I usually make them quieter than the snares and claps, but still pretty loud. And for the open hats, I always have them quieter than the hi-hats. And like I said, I also add reverb to the open hats or crashes. Now, the most important part, the 808s. Most of y'all probably want your 808s to be booming, so you crank the volume all the way up, you go in the EQ, you boost the bass in the EQ, but then this is how your beat turns out. Trash. I know you want your beat to hit hard, but that is not the way to go. Do not do that. You don't need to boost the EQ. At least not that loud, because then it overpowers the beat, how I was saying. Like, look at the lines. You see how it's going into the yellow and even into the red? That means that the sound is way too loud, so you need to reduce it. Now look, Even though the circle is low, the green lines are going past it, so that means the actual volume is still loud. It's just not overpowering the whole beat. The last thing I mix is just my producer tag. I usually put it to half volume. I gotta change that, man. But anyways, the beat is basically done. We finished mixing. But for those of y'all who really want your beat to slap, you got one more step. Now that we finished mixing, you merge all the tracks. After everything gets merged, we're gonna add a little something I like to call hyper boost.